My God, who's this bald psychopath? Anyway, today I'm just going to rant about what the hell was I going to rant about? My brain is not working very well today. I was going to rant about job searching, I believe, and something I've noticed with sort of millennials like myself in their early 30s. So yeah, I'll get into it. Looking for jobs now fucking sucks. Even entry level stuff. I'm looking at stuff back in the UK and there's just no responses, a bunch of rejections, a bunch of things. And the issue is on both sides of the equation, I reckon. I think it's on both the employer's side and the potential candidate side as well. So I'll get into that. So I've applied for a bunch of pretty low level jobs. Like we're talking minimum wage. Now, I would say about 30% of them will require you to have some kind of certificate, some kind of thing. So I've looked at care jobs and a few other types of jobs as well back in England. And they're all kind of requiring, not all of them, but like about 30% require that. And there's like that rare sort of 5% where they've listed themselves as entry level on Indeed or Reed or whatever job site. So they've listed themselves as an entry level job anyone can get into. Then when you read the job description, it's like, well, you need 3 years of experience as this, a full master's in this, and blah blah blah, and it's just like 2%, 5% more than minimum wage. Why would anyone with those qualifications, that level of experience, get a job 5% above minimum wage when they could work for the NHS and make 20 to 30% more minimum, maybe 40% more? Why would anyone do that? I don't understand why they seem to think they can demand this of employees. Now, there were other jobs. There's English jobs that I've applied for, ESL jobs, which I applied for 3 years ago, and I got very quickly. They just were like, right, let's get into interview. Now, I'd say 50% of them, yeah, maybe 50% of them send me like some document or something, or like basically they'll send me a document with a lot of questions in it. We're talking 30, 40 questions. Or they'll send me 30, 40 pre-interview questions, and it's like, do you expect me to spend 40 minutes doing your administrative labour, or let's say I was really fast and I didn't do it too well, 25 minutes for every single application when there's loads of other people applying, to most likely, because of the type of company that does this, have a 70 to 80% rejection rate when there's so many ESL jobs. And the thing is, like, you can turn up to these countries and just walk into these. So this is a job you can actually still walk into. People say that the boomer meme of shaking hands, walking in and asking for the job doesn't work. It does work for ESL jobs. But the thing is, it's ridiculous, because I could go to Vietnam, I could hang around Hanoi, I could map out on Google 30 different international schools that offer English classes, and I would get a job with at least one of them just by walking in there, right? If I apply online, they want to ask me 30, 40 questions before I get into an interview. Now, just fucking interview me. Yeah, that's your job, that's not my job. So it's ridiculous what they're demanding. But here's the thing. So people like me who are going through this process, it's soul crushing, obviously. But the issue is all of us are applying to the same 1,000, 2,000 jobs, right? And so what's going on is the employer looks at that and they see 10,000 job applications because there's like 2,000 people from the country applying for that low income job, and there's 8,000 people outside the country who can't take that job. So that's 8,000 gone. And the company thinks, wow, we got 10,000 candidates. No, you don't. You don't have 10,000 candidates. So I would imagine for every 1,000 job applications, yeah, there's probably 500 people applying for those 1,000 different jobs, or maybe less. But it doesn't look like that. When you receive those 1,000, you think, wow, I've got 1,000 people. Well, you don't really, because they're divided between 2,000 jobs. They're divided between 4,000 jobs because they've mass applied, right? So you're thinking you've got an infinite amount of people to reach out to, but you don't, because they're doing the same thing. They're mass applying. So you've still got competition, like with other employers. It's just that it doesn't seem that way to you because you can't see how many different people have applied for a lot of different jobs with the same sort of companies. You can't see that one employee has done 1,000 applications for a bunch of other jobs in the same industry, right? So you're competing with thousands of companies at the same time. But you think you've got thousands of good candidates, so, we can wait here, we can wait here. Then the thing is with the employer, they'll go through all these things, they'll find the best ones. Yeah, and that top 10%, not top 5%, right? You're probably going to be an average company, or you're going to be massively undervaluing the people because you think you've got infinite options. And those top 5% won't even respond to you. Top 10% won't respond to you. Some of those entry-level people might, they might not, depending on where you are. And so what I reckon is probably happening, because I know that companies are saying it's hard to employ people. They can't find anyone to employ. They're afraid to train people for whatever reason, because it's one of those jobs that maybe every 3 months, on average, an employee quits or whatever, and it's going to cost. So they're just going to wait for someone who's perfect. But this perfect person ain't coming to your company for minimum wage. It's just not happening. So just employ somebody. Any of these 1,000 candidates. If all these, see, this is the thing, if all these companies did that, they'd realise there's not that many candidates. But they can't see that on their side. It's like, wow, there's 1,000 people to choose. There isn't. There isn't. Each 1,000 people is applying for 10,000 different positions. Yeah, you've got a tenth of a person between 1,000 companies. It's not how you think. And so everyone's kind of like paranoid on the employment side because they feel like they've got all these options, and they just wait and they wait and they wait and they wait, and the top talent decides no, they just keep them on the shelf, try and stack their options, say yeah, sure, we'll have it in here, oh sure, oh wait a week. So the employer gets messed around, and so do a lot of people who would probably take that job applying for that job. And here's another thing, the wages are absolute shit. So a lot of people are going to think, well, maybe I'll take that job. So then, even once you get to the lower sort of level candidates, they aren't desperate for a job. They're disillusioned. They're just like, it's shit though, innit? Nah, I'm good. I'm not going to take it. So you won't hire anybody. And the other side of the equation is, you see so many different salary ranges. This is as a potential candidate and employee, so me, that you look at like a minimum wage job or just a bit more, and it's like, fuck this. I saw a job for double this for zero experience, and you're disillusioned because those are smart employers who've said, well, we're never going to give anyone this much money, but if we put that on our posting, we're going to get 10 times more applications than everyone else, because they've kind of got the game, they've understood the game. And then the best of the best are going to come to them and they're going to say, look, we're really sorry, we've got this unofficial policy, so you wouldn't actually be worth double minimum wage in our opinion. We calculate you to be worth 30% more, which is maybe accurate, maybe you're worth 50% more. Those are the smart players, those are the smartest companies, the people who do that. But as a potential candidate, you look at all these different numbers, and you get, if once you get a minimum wage or the lowest possible number as an offer, you just think, fucking, there'll be another one coming, there'll be another chance coming, and maybe there will, maybe there won't. But this problem, this kind of discrepancy between employees and employers, this kind of hiring freeze, and this kind of like unemployment rise, it's not all AI, I don't think. I think a lot of it's just job automation, just application automation, duplication and stuff. I don't think it's necessarily AI. I think AI is filtering out a lot of resumes. But what really needs to happen is companies need to just start talking to people, just need to start doing interviews. Because the reason they're not getting good results is because the people who receive these, like, stupid pre-interview questions documents, they've got a script to write that out. And so they look like a perfect candidate, and they're applying to 20,000 jobs a day. They're using AI to fool the AI software that checks the CVs, and they're not necessarily a good employee. They're just good at gaming the system. So you're going to hire somebody who's going to game your system. It's just a lose-lose for everybody, the current situation. Now, there are AI layoffs. I'm not saying there aren't. I'm one of the people who believes that AI will come for a lot of jobs. But I actually don't think that's what the majority of the recent unemployment and hiring issues are. I actually think it's that companies are just delusional, and that employees are just delusional. I've said this in a different video, pretty much. And everyone needs to just chill the fuck out. Now, the millennial trend I've seen with millennials my age and a little bit older than me, a little bit younger as well, so sort of early 30s up to the 40s, maybe millennials, maybe like early 30s to sort of 37, is starting over again completely. I actually just saw a video on this, which is why I'm doing this video now, to remind myself when I'm older. But there is a reason for this starting over, yeah. The whole thing is, you work, so I've done it myself, I'm going for it now. You work whatever job, you get disillusioned with it, there's no career progression, you take this certificate, you do this exam, you pay this tax thing, you set up in this city, and you buy this and you buy that. And even if you're making good money, you're usually not saving a lot, because if I have to move to another city, now for me, I like going world to world hopping, so it's real expensive for me. It's as expensive as it can get, because I have to buy this shit. Yeah, I have to buy this shit again, and another bed, another computer screen, and another everything. Yeah, so my setup costs, I'm going to spend $1,000 to $2,000 in a year, maybe $3,000 in the first year, just on fucking furniture. So even if I'm making good money, a lot of it's gone on actual essentials, actual stuff I need, cooking utensils and stuff like that. Getting enough protein in, getting my supplements, all that kind of stuff, yeah. Because I want to be set up. Moving and like paying the deposit, figuring out the new tax things, the travel costs. Even if you don't have to buy loads of stuff again, you've got to transport it. So with every job, you're losing money just by starting a new job anyway. So you get up into this new job, there's going to be a lot of promises. It's all bullshit, there's no security. And then eventually you lose it, either because it's shit work or just because that's the way it goes, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Alternatively, you get a good job and you save money, you invest, and you see that you could do this for another 2 or 3 years. And then you realise that it's a drone job. You're just some drone, like you're in HR, you're doing public relations or some shit. Or even for me, my example in my life is I did the 3-year degree. I got a job as like an entry-level software dev, graduate dev, whatever you'd want to call it. And after 5 or 6 months, I was just like, so I've done 3 years of work. So my interest in comp sci, the reason I did it is because when I was in 2016, 2015, I was pretty much sold on the idea that AI was going to become a big thing. It was going to take over a lot of industries. And I actually wanted to get into, learning how to code so I could stay ahead of the curve and so I could be one of the people making AI, working on that. That turned out to be bollocks because LLMs, well, we all thought it'd be neural nets and like other types of machine learning that would, be the future of AI, but that was not the case. LLMs turned out to be the thing. So all of that kind of algorithmic knowledge is cock, really. And I got in, I feel like I got in too late anyway, because I didn't get into it until 2021. And ChatGPT was a thing, I think, in 2021, actually. And so was image generation was a thing as well already. So really, it was pretty much the beginning of the end anyway. But anyway, I did this for 5, 6 months, and what I wanted to work on was like data analytics and or AI. But really, what I was doing is like, should I drop the company name? Financial Force. I was working for Financial Force, which have got a different name now. But it's just doing these boring finance things for all these different companies that want to use, Salesforce's platform and products and stuff. It's just bollocks. Now, it wasn't too difficult for me. You probably know, if you spoke to my colleagues at the time, the first 3 or 4 months, I was one of the better programmers, better developers, and then suddenly I just became shit. They might just remember I was shit, to be honest. Because I just became disillusioned, because I remember looking at it and thinking, what's the fucking meaning of this? Some company has managed to do a transaction 7% faster. They can look at a part of their business model 5% faster. Who fucking cares? Who gives a shit? That is what broke me, and I didn't quit. I think I got fired actually, or they asked me to leave and then I quit. I can't remember what happened, but it wasn't like with other jobs where I just leave because I've had enough. It's been enough time. In the last month, I was just putting in so little effort, and I'm like thinking, oh, I'm gonna get fired. I kind of cared because of the money, and I kind of didn't because it was shit. The company was good to work for, by the way. I'm not actually like trying to have a go at that company. And by the way, it's a UK company, so defamation isn't really a thing. I'm not afraid of this company. I'm not afraid of Financial Force. But they were a pretty good company. They were pretty good benefits, an okay culture, friendly enough, but not like super invasive in your life. Fairly realistic expectations. But I just couldn't do it anymore. And I remember I was speaking to one of the other graduates. They're all younger than me. Scary, that, isn't it? The young guys stealing your shit, smarter, younger. I kind of like that. I like that they're all smarter, younger. Made it more competitive, made it more interesting. Not hanging around with a bunch of old people. I like that, to be honest. But yeah, there was this guy I was partnered with who was another graduate. I was just saying, oh, I think this is it now. I think we're going to go for a review and that's going to be the end of it. And it's like, oh no, I'm sure it'll be all right. No, I don't think so, mate. There's definitely good work you've probably been doing. And I'm like, no, there fucking isn't. No, there fucking isn't. I've lost it this last month. And then I got the call. They're like, oh, what's going on? Blah blah blah. And I was like, look, I'm not gonna lie. I know why you're calling me. Just tell me when. They said you can go tomorrow. I'm like, okay, great. I'll be done tomorrow. And I said, look, we'll pay you the other 2 weeks. So that's fair. Maybe like an extra week or extra 2 weeks. They said, look, we don't want you working the rest of like this month, but we'll pay you for the whole month. I'm like, okay. I can't argue with that. I said, I'm in Mexico, by the way. I got sick of being in the office. I got sick of all this. I apologise, blah, blah, blah. Apparently, like, someone called up and called me and asked me if I'm alright. Said that there was been, like, something that, I've been in a meeting and it's not going to affect anyone, but not to worry about it. It's only me. It's only me who was in the meeting. And everyone's like worried about me. I didn't care. I was just like, oh, thank God, weight off my shoulder. So that is also another reason. It's the whole, it's the meaninglessness of a lot of jobs now is another thing that's making, I think mainly millennials want to start over and get into a new career, because sometimes it's the monotony, sometimes it's just, there's not, the end result is not like, it doesn't feel like you've done anything. So I'll give an example of work I've done in the past that did feel meaningful. The teaching job, the recent teaching job, there's complaints I could make about it as a job, and how ESL is in Vietnam and whatever. But in terms of, does it have like a meaningful impact on other people? Do you feel like you're doing something? Yes. Even though at some like kindergarten, some places, you're kind of just making stuff up. Nobody cares. No one's paying attention. The kids are barely learning. At the very least, right, they're having fun. They're forming memories with you. They're playing games. And you're trying. And, 6 months later, when you talk to these kindy kids and they've gone from just staring and crying because they're like 2 years old, 18 months old, they can't speak necessarily. And then 6 months later, when they start to speak and they say, telephone, teacher, with this kind of love in their eyes, you feel like, cool. Even if they didn't learn anything, I can feel that they feel like they developed something like a positive experience or whatever. So there was always a like a sense of meaning, purpose with that job. And then I've done a lot of labouring and construction related stuff, and with all of that, like you directly, really, really, like quite quickly can see what you are building. Yeah, like here, if I built a wall here with bricks, that'd take me a day, because I'm a shit bricky. It's a tiny space, but I'm not a bricklayer, so that'd probably take me a day. You can see it. You can see what you've made and think, wow, that's cool. And even if you don't like it that much, there's real physical evidence of it. Yeah, you can, like even stuff like any kind of labouring stuff. Honestly, even moving stuff to places. Yeah, you can see it. You can see it physically move from one space to another. Now, cleaning is another one that is quite meaningful. Like you clean something, you see the result, you feel like, oh wow, that was hard, and I hate cleaning, but wow, it looks a hell of a lot better. But like long term, and this is why I'm so messy, I think. Look at this. That's why I'm so bloody messy. It's going to get messy again. So cleaning feels pointless over the long term. It's probably something you quit after 2 or 3 years. But anyway, my point is, it's the lack of meaning. So I'm seeing a lot of my friends and people in my circles and outside of my circles transition into new jobs, trying to find either meaning or like some kind of stability, some kind of thing, basically. Yeah, it's a big trend. And I wonder, with this kind of convergence on meaning, are the meaningful jobs, or the ones that give you a sense of purpose, going to be oversaturated and low wage? Is the winning move to take the most boring, pointless job ever, because suddenly the salary of a PR guy is double minimum wage or triple minimum wage? I don't know. I don't know what the strategy is there, or do we just rejoice that everyone's looking for the right thing? But people looking for these meaningful jobs while there's this job paralysis on both sides, I don't know. The whole situation looks pretty grim for me, for other millennials, for a lot of people. The sort of loss of meaning is definitely a notable thing in people's lives. Anyway, I don't have a conclusion, I don't have a prediction, I don't have really advice. My advice is just compromise on both sides, be realistic. That's what I said before. I just wanted to have a bit of a rant. Probably no one will watch it, but I might when I'm old. I might show it to people when I'm old. Take care.